nurses in Santa Barbara have people speaking about the mean girl to nursing pipeline being real, I can attest to that because my narcissistic mother was a nurse for over 40 years, retired now. She's definitely a mean girl, and she was definitely my first bully. But I'm not here to talk so much about that, but how she regarded her patients. I'm a Gen Xer, and I remember when the AIDS epidemic in the 80s broke out and people still didn't really know much about this mysterious virus. And I remember my mother coming home when I was a little girl, speaking with her friends and my stepdad, speaking in total disgust about certain patients she had, many of them gay, and an air of superiority, like they sort of got what they deserved. Ditto for the IV drug users as well, especially if they happen to be prostitutes. You know, the ways she would describe about their symptoms, the sores on their bodies and things like that. And just, I just remember being a child, that just knowing how disgusted that she was towards them, as opposed to coming from a place of empathy. And one could say, you know, she was still reasonably young at the time in the 80s, and maybe that's what it was, her youth. But that attitude still carried on as she became an older, seasoned nurse, because she would even carry that same type of attitude with people with regular conditions. I remember once when I was a teenager, she came home and she was like talking about how one heart patient died of a heart attack and how he pooped himself on the floor before dropping dead. And she kind of laughed about it, sort of confused why she chose such a profession, because she wasn't an especially empathetic person, at least not to me. And I always wondered too, in a profession like hers, where people are sick, dying at their most vulnerable, and would often see them for prolonged periods of time, why she never had some sort of bond with any of them, like my cousin's mother, who was a CNA. You know, I remember her talking about how she would take care of her patients and would be heartbroken when they passed on. My mother never ever came home with stories like that of people who touched her in a special way, or any patients that she felt connected to who, you know, of any age, who passed on. Her stories were all about, look what this person got themselves into, their lifestyle or their bad habits, you know, this feeling that they deserved to be there. And then sometimes it would be in a mocking tone, like they were like the subject of a joke. Now, she didn't have these stories every night, but I would overhear conversations, or she would tell me things enough times, enough for me to get a general feel of how she regarded her patients in general. And there was a time I would sometimes look back and question that maybe she was this way with her patients, looking at them with disgust or making dark jokes about them was maybe a way to distance them so she could protect herself emotionally, as some people are known to do. But given her pattern of history of bullying me, treating me bad, her general lack of empathy towards me growing up, I'm betting on her just being a mean girl narcissist nurse. And her attitude and treatment protocol didn't end at the hospital. I remember times when I was a child, when I was sick, she would treat me no differently than a patient. Very cold, very clinical. No, oh, I hope you feel better. No warmth, no love. Just very sterile, giving me the medicines at the right time, or dressing the bandages at the right time, and trying to rush me to get better out of bed because I was a burden. Yeah, so when you deal with nurses like this, with these ugly actions, just know their attitude and their thoughts about you are even uglier.